One of the accessories that I rarely see brought up is the PSP Camera, or PSP Go Cam as it was initially called. This was a camera that you could attach to the top of the PSP. It worked with the 1, 2, and 3000 models of the handheld. There were two versions of the camera that were released for the PSP handheld. The first one was brought out in 2007 and was modeled PSP Go Cam, or PSP 300E. The megapixel count and resolution was not great for a camera even at that time, and was more in line with cell phone cameras. It had a 1.3 megapixel camera and could take pictures and record video. They later released the one titled the PSP Camera in 2010, alongside Invisimals and the iPad games, and it was mainly used for AR experiences where you could put down an AR card and play with them. The camera was actually a downgrade from the Go Cam, as it went from a 1.3 megapixel down to a 0.3. As you can see here in the video, the quality was actually quite terrible, and the audio from it was even worse. Some of the images, depending on the lighting, don't look extremely bad, but also not quite on par with what was already available in 2010 on smartphones. Granted, it was a cheap plastic accessory and almost stupid to try and compare it with something that was attached from a $500 device like an iPhone. Nevertheless, some shots could come out okay, and for the most part looked fine viewing them on the PSP screen. I do like the design of it, and it doesn't seem too bulky or add too much weight to the PSP. I have it connected to the white PSP here, but looks a little better when paired with the black 1000 or the piano black 2000 model. Ultimately, this device was created with kids in mind and something they could use to have an entry-level AR experience. Sony didn't really bother with the camera all that much, and there's really only about 3 games that support it. I guess that's why you never really hear about it. The camera accessory does feel pretty cheap, and I'm sure a good drop on the ground might crack the plastic. Not something I really want to test out though. Connecting the device is pretty straightforward, as it just connects using the USB port at the top. It has a small screw on the left that you can turn to tighten it down, but it's not required unless you want to make sure it's firm on the handheld. Loading up the camera app, it will start out in photo mode, and a cool feature that takes me back to the Game Boy camera is the option to rotate the camera. You could have it facing away from you, towards you, or up in the event you want to hold the PSP flat. It only came with a couple of options, nothing too great compared to a camera where you can change a bunch of different settings, but you could switch it to video mode to be able to also record video on it, and as you've seen before, the quality is not so great. You do have quite a few setting options though, like being able to adjust the exposure, and also the white balance, and zoom in and out, but again, these aren't things you're really going to be doing too much with the camera, as especially nowadays, the quality is just not great, let's be honest. I know that Sony decided to come out with a few different accessories. I know there was a GPS accessory, and there was also one that let you do translation if you were in different countries, which was pretty cool, but again, these are devices and accessories that you just don't really see all that much, so it was interesting at the time, but even then, I feel like you could use an iPhone, or even, I think the iPod Touches weren't bad for it either. I know Sony was trying so many different things with the PSP, and I know that the camera was probably meant to do more, but there probably wasn't much support, and the games probably didn't sell all that well, so I can see why they just completely stopped support for it. It would have been nice to see a few other options available, a few different games. I never really got into Invisimals. I do have iPad, but it's pretty lackluster, and it's not as great as the PS3 version was, which had a lot more options available to it. If you're looking to get one of the cameras, they're pretty cheap on eBay, and I think you could even get one on Amazon for about 18 or 20 bucks with some shipping fees, but you could get the iPad bundle for around $25 to $35, and some of them still have the camera on them. Just make sure you don't buy the disc only, because you're going to miss out and not have the AR cards or really be able to do anything with it. So make sure if you do get a bundle that you get it and it has all the included items with it. It's a short video, guys, but I just wanted to highlight one of the weird little accessories that Sony put out for the PSP. And let me know if you ever had one. If you did you ever use it? Did you play those games? What'd you think of those games? But anyways, that's going to do it for me for this video. Thank you a lot for tuning in. Have a great day.